Hello Aquarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, June 2020 Astrology, Aquarius Must Knows. We're going to talk about these eclipses. 2 of the 3 eclipses are happening this month. We have Mercury going in retrograde, we have Venus still in retrograde, and we have the second of the Jupiter-Pluto connections that have been part of the big mischief making of the changes that are going on in the world. So it's the second of 3 passes. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And what we're going to do is specifically talk about how these aspects and events are affecting Aquarius from a mathematical standpoint, so you can understand how the energies are going to flow and interact for Aquarius specifically. Okay, so I'm going to start out here. We'll get our visuals up. We are going to look at the charts as well. But first, let's give a little overview. So we're going to talk about these dates, and if you would like to have a very detailed written report with all of the dates of all of the aspects this month, delivered into your inbox with also what the aspects are, what you can expect from those aspects, delivered to your inbox monthly, 1 month early, as well as a write-up for the month, then you will love to sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. It really helps prepare you for and understand all of the more subtle nuances and the daily experiences as these aspects are rolling around. And this month is kind of unusual in the way that there are more challenging aspects this month, quite a lot more challenging aspects this month than sweet aspects. And usually it's like even, or it seems like this year we've had, earlier in the year before all of the mischief started, we had some more positive aspects. And then now we've just kind of got a lot of challenges to work with. But part of my work as an astrologer is to help you understand the energies and not fear them, because if you understand something and you understand how to work with it and understand how energy moves through you better and what that means for what's going on, then you don't have to be afraid of it. You can look at your life and look at the future with curiosity and say, I wonder what's going to happen. Kind of just with instead of the defensive, disempowered standpoint of what's going to happen to me next, question mark, you can ask the question of how you can greet the changes in this inevitably changing world with openness and curiosity about what's going to happen. All right, so let's look at this. This is the first thing to know is that starting right at June 2nd, the Mercury shadow period starts. The shadow period is a period before a retrograde. A retrograde is when a planet in the sky is moving, well, it's not moving backwards. It looks like it's moving backwards from our geocentric perception, which is us on the earth looking out. That affects us. And you can look up Annie Botticelli Mercury retrograde and find tons of resources that I've created for that. But just know about it that this whole month is in shadow or the actual retrograde. The retrograde starts the 17th or 18th, depending on your time zone. And it calls things into question. Of course, we've had a lot of that going on, right? But this is going to do it more. Plans changing, disagreements, things that were not resolved as far as a communication standpoint, things from the past having to do with vehicle issues or device issues or communication topics, for better or worse. Like, let's say your uncle said, well, when you're ready, I'll give you a car. And then you're like, oh, I need that car now. And then you can go back and you can get a car. So it's like the energy of the past, which is the retrograde. It's the energy of being inward, reflective. And it's more of a time to feel your way through than try to plan your way through. So leaving flexible plans, light commitments, short-term agreements, things like that are better indicated. And this whole month is covered in it. So from June 17th or 18th, Mercury will be retrograde until around July 12th, but then the post-shadow period will last until the end of July. So we won't be completely clear of that until then. This particular retrograde is in Cancer, and that is highly, highly, highly emotional. The energies of Cancer do not flow well with the energies of Aquarius. So it means that there is likely going to be relentless emotion within you and around you. And, it's always tricky to try to discuss a sign and how a sign might experience something, because we are more than just our sun sign. Each of the placements in the sky at the time we're born are part of our being, and all of the personal planets are part of our core personality. And to limit or to have a scathing generalization of one sign experiencing something one way is very difficult. But at the same time, it is also true, Like, this information is true. Aquarius energy is mental, it's logical, it's can reserve its emotion in order to get things done and to think things through, and to, it's a level-headed energy that you want in a crisis, because when other people are melting and freaking out, a lot of times the people with the Aquarius energies are saying, okay, well, let's follow these normal, like, logical steps. Let's think of a solution. Let's, you can hold that emotional tide back. But when there's so much of it through this retrograde energy, it can be really overwhelming, because people around you might be needing things more than usual, which could weigh heavily on you. And you might find that those places where you may have repressed emotion or not have been in touch with emotions may start to come out. And if you're welcoming that, and you're a seeker, and you're trying to get in there, and, Aquarius people may not have any trouble crying for somebody else, but to shed their own tears sometimes can be a little bit difficult. And actually Aquarius rules water balance. So there's this, like, energy of being too dry or too wet, too much water or too little water, and so when you introduce this major flow of water with this retrograde, then also with this solar eclipse, it's very, very massively emotional. So definitely expect that besides the Gemini placements, which do flow beautifully with your placement, we'll look at the charts here soon and you'll see, there is this very heavy emotion, and it can be for better and worse. It could be something exciting that's emotional that could be overwhelming, but it could also be challenging, and it could be both. Okay, so June 24th to 25th, Venus goes direct. It's been in Gemini. Gemini, the Venus retrograde has actually been quite favorable for the energy of Aquarius. Not to say that every Aquarius would have a positive experience. Like I said, it's way more complicated than that. But the actual transit itself was really in a sweet aspect for you. So Venus is the ruler of love, beauty, money, design, projects, self-esteem. And so when Venus has been in retrograde, which it will be until the end of the month, and then the post-shadow period will last also till the end of July, like Mercury retrograde. So we're not going to really be free of those Venus goggles. If you didn't watch my May video, it would be a really good idea to do that, because I go into a lot of details about what you can expect from Venus retrograde. And if you search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde, I have a very comprehensive but pretty short video, and then I have a blog called Venus Retrograde Do's and Don'ts at AnnieHelpsYou.com, or you can just search for Venus Retrograde Annie Botticelli, and it's the version. It's a written version of the blog, and then I filled it in over time as people have asked questions. I've added more details, so it's very, very, very comprehensive, and I very highly recommend that you watch that, because this month is swimming in these Venus energies and all of this emotion. You might want to have more guidance there. All right, so then June 30th, we have the second of 3 Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions. And the reason why this is important is because it doesn't happen very often. And Jupiter is an expander, and it's an exacerbator. And Pluto rules transformation, death, birth, rebirth, literal death, figurative death, the, morbidity, illness, things like that is one of the domains of Pluto. So Jupiter has come and expanded that situation, and Capricorn rules the systems of the world, your skeletal structures of the world, structures, in our social systems. So them coming together in April, them coming together in June, them coming together again in July is part of what's going on with the coronavirus and the systems breaking down and the whole economy changing. And so for this video, I highly recommend you search for Annie Botticelli, how the Astrology of 2020 explains the coronavirus. If you just search for Annie Botticelli coronavirus, you'll see it. And this is a super long video, but it is very, very, very comprehensive. It's very eye-opening, and some things in it will really surprise you and will help you to give astrological context to what's going on with the coronavirus, because people think the coronavirus came and now it's messing all the systems up. It's not true. We've been in a systems breakdown, and astrologers, myself included, have been talking about this since 2008. Pluto getting into Capricorn with the boom in 2008, the market breakdown then came with that aspect. And Jupiter and Pluto got together at that time too, by the way. So that's a big deal, and that's what's happening now. So similar to how we made it through that time, and things changed from it, we're going to make it through this time, and things are going to change from it. But watching the video will help to have context and how you can best use those energies. Okay, so now I want to show you the visuals of these things that we talked about that have to do with the major things that are going on and how Aquarius might experience those. Okay, so a lot of the things that we talk about are going to be true for all early, middle, and late degree Aquarius placements, but certain times I am going to get more microscopic and you'll want to know where you are in the Aquarius spectrum. Okay, so early Aquarius is basically January born or 0 to 9 degrees, middle Aquarius around February 1st through 10th or 10 to 19 degrees, and late Aquarius around February 11th through the rest of the sign or 20 to 29 degrees. And those of you in the late area, you will very, very often have some very different things going on for you all, as the aspects tend to be staggered, or the transits are staggered for you, meaning it takes longer for you to experience them. That's why if you've ever noticed sometimes with horoscopes, they'll talk about something going on and it might not go on at the beginning of the time it's for, but towards the end or later, maybe even to the next month sometimes, you might see that. And certainly with eclipses, the placement does change where that occurs. Okay, so I'm going to use the early degree chart and I'm going to talk about some things that are true for all Aquarius placements unless I differentiate out. Okay, so just assume this is for everybody. The first thing that we talked about is the energies in Gemini, including the Venus retrograde, how that makes this beautiful 120-degree angle for Aquarius. Okay, so you've got a lot on your side at this time, and that is whenever there's anything in air that's breathing life into your placement. You know, it can infuse with hope and positivity even in the midst of challenges. Then we've got Mercury going retrograde through Cancer. And that is not at a nice angle. Okay, that's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's called inconjunct or quincunx angle. The 150-degree angle is super awkward. So Mercury bringing news, bringing information, you know, changing plans, trying to redo things. You know, this month of retrograde reminds me of learning to crochet or knit. Okay, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I'll explain what happens to a lot of people. Let's say you're going to make a scarf, because that's an easiest first thing to do. If you don't count your stitches and you miss one at the end, what eventually happens is your scarf has one even end and then it starts like making an angle in. And so if you want your scarf to be right, you have to unstitch all of the stitches that you did down to the point where you've made the first mistake that kept getting worse over time. So the retrogrades are going to unhinge things that were cemented. They're going to unstitch things that were stitched. But it's for the purpose of having a straighter scarf, you see? So sometimes when challenging things happen or emotions get high or challenges come, we can feel like, oh, this is terrible, things are happening to us and it's bad and this isn't a good thing. But the universe is benevolent. Part of the way that you know that there's coherence and benevolence in the universe is if you look at the orbits of the planets. If you see the orbits of the planets in an extended out, they actually fit within each other. There's like a harmony and a precision with the workings. Like you might notice that when we've got Venus and Mars retrograde in a year, like as soon as Venus and Mercury are trailing off here at the end of July, the Mars shadow period is going to start, you know? And so that's by design. It's like, it's in this sync. It's like, okay, those happen. Okay, now that's straight. Okay, now this happens. It's like there's a coherence and a benevolence to the whole thing. And you can see that through the sacred geometry that's everywhere in life as well. But the point is, when we have these things that are getting unstitched, as retrogrades tend to do, and even eclipses tend to do that, it might not feel good because you're like, I wasted my time. I just stitched all that. I'm so aggravated. I have to do it again. But what you wind up with is a more strong structure, a straighter scarf, things that are more intact, things that are more solid, things that are more certain. But you have to go through the time of the unstitching. And June is like the great unstitching. Okay, so we did not talk about in my little review this June 5th eclipse, which is in Sagittarius, okay? So Sagittarius is at a friendly angle. So this one on June 5th. Now, for more details about the June 5th, For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm an astrology teacher. I'm not just a reader, okay? So I don't just say, okay, this is going to happen, pat you on the butt and say, good luck with that this is what's happening. I like to teach people to think for themselves and to feel things for themselves and to understand with the knowledge that I give them about the astrological pieces of how they're maneuvering through their personal experience. So basically I want to teach you to fish instead of just give you the fish. And as such, I give you homework if you choose to accept it. And if you do accept it, you're going to deepen your knowledge of astrology, deepen your understanding of what's happening, and I think deepen your ease and flow through the times because you'll understand them better and can work with them better. So this eclipse is in a friendly angle, and it's in a friendly angle for all Aquarius placements. But it's especially in a friendly angle for those of you who are in the middle degree placements. Okay, so 10 to, we'll say 9 to 19 degrees are most featured because, actually, no, it's 15 degrees. So it's 10 to 20 degrees. So if you know your degrees, if you're watching for Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Rising, this report is equally for you. And those of you closer to 15 degrees are going to be connecting in the most with this eclipse. And so that's basically going to be like the February 5th, 6th, kind of around there. And February 1st through 10th is like the bigger bucket. So all Aquariuses can have happy, positive vibes from this. The ones that are the middle degree, 10 to 20 degrees, or February 1st through 10th, you've got like an extra possibility for connection. And then those of you closer to like the February 5th or like the 6th or something like that in the 15 degrees, it's going to hit right on. And you can see more details about where that hits for early, middle, and late degree placements in the May report. And in the May report, I'll give you some snippets about how you're likely to experience that, but I also will direct you to which of my eclipse video series you can watch to see like all of the things of how that might manifest for you. All right, so the second eclipse is June 21st, June 20th or 21st, and that's at 0 degrees of Cancer. And that's the one that we're slated to talk about this month. And when I say slated, it was in my own personal plan. So the plan was May, I was going to tell you where the June 5th eclipse was going to be. June, I'm telling you where this June 20th, 21st eclipse is going to be for you. And then in July report, we'll talk about where the July 5th eclipse is going to be. So this Cancer Capricorn cycle that's been going since the middle of 2018 and is ending now, is closing up cycles having to do with home, family, housing, parents, work, career, things like that. It's sealing some things off for better and worse. And this has not been in a friendly angle for you guys. So the good news is that with this Sagittarius eclipse that starts at the beginning of the month, for the period of time into 2021 that this eclipse cycle, the Sag-Gemini eclipse cycle occurs, those are all going to be in nice angles for you. So if you've had a really hard time since the middle of 2018, part of it could have been because of these tough angles with the Cancer and Capricorn eclipses. And these are the last ones of that, but it could like be this epic wrap up kind of, of the conclusions of what had been going on for that time. So because it's such an early degree, it's at the first degree of Cancer. We've got, let's see, here we are down here. So for the early degree placements, you might feel that in the 6th house. We'll talk about what this means in a minute. Then with every day you get into the Aquarius sign, that's going to shift back more into the 5th house. So let's just look at what this looks like. Since it's right on the line, the influence of the 6th house can come in, but especially for those of you who are early. And then as you move deeper in, see that's at 16 degrees now. So 0 degrees is pushed back further into the 5th house. And then once you get to the late degree placement, it's like pushed out, can be all the way like close to the 4th house even, the home and family section, which is also the home and family sign, which is Cancer. So everyone's experiencing that too, but it's pushed back further into the 5th house. So I'm going to direct you to where you can get more information on that and just give you a quick overview. So early 6th and 5th, middle 5th, and late 5th. So you all in the early division, you'll look for my video called Eclipses in Virgo and 6th house. Okay, and then early, middle, and late, we'll look for eclipses in Leo and 5th house. And that's how you'll see more. So basically the 5th house is family, and not family, it's kids, creativity, romance, it's called true love, hobbies, pleasures to the point of addictions even, and more things that you'll see in that video. And then the 6th house is health, pets, your daily routine, could be work, office things, or if you're self-employed, jobs, things like that. But definitely go in and look at more of the details, because I give a lot of details in those videos. I used to give all those details in the horoscopes, but it made it a little bit heavy to try to go through that every time. All right, so now you have your work cut out for you. You can search for Annie Botticelli and all those things that I listed. You can see that there's going to be a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of wrapping up. There's going to be some sweet things that happen from these air planets, kind of boosting it all. Keeping your mineral and your salt, like your salt balance, may be a little bit more of a challenge, because there is a tendency for Aquarius placements to have issues with sodium balance and salt balance. So like I talked about before, like things that are too dry skin, flaking hair, dry eyes, or the opposite, like watery eyes, watery, holding water, things like that. Like whenever there are pressures on the body from global or individual crisis or stress, the tendencies of the body medically sometimes amp up. Okay, so you're going to have to do a little bit more to keep your fluid balance at this time. So it's going to be a very interesting month. Definitely check out all of the resources. Definitely check out my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can see it on my Penguin Random House author page. You can just search for Annie Botticelli Planetology. And I have lots of projects and practices that will help you align with the natural rhythms, which is what I try to do in the videos, is help you understand what's going on so that you can align with those. Like basically, if it's going to be raining, you can bring your umbrella and put your, bring your rubber ducky and your sloshy shoes and have a good time instead of being like cold and wet and frozen. Okay, so now you know the types of things that are coming up. You have resources that you can investigate more things. If you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, you can go to BeAstroPro, BeAstroPro.com, or LumeLife, LUME Life.com, which is my school, Luminous Life Multiversity. And you can see my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course, as well as many other courses I have, including a lot of free courses, including a course called Claiming Victory Over Viruses. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com and check out my blogs at that same site. And I have tons of blogs, including written horoscopes, at cozybysweetstarlight.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.